I think like we had a debate before,
Mm,
and
don't remember.
after yeah, after quite a long time, this is me again, second time.
Second time. Okay. Did you like our first debate?
Well, actually, yeah, yeah, and I, I, I have already followed your account, and you know, yeah, I also follow you on YouTube.
Okay.
So I've got some question for you. Okay,
Cool.
I think you have told me that you don't believe God, and
Yeah.
you're not sure whether God exists or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, since you kind of since you were having all these debates from different people, whether they Muslim, Christians, Jewish, have you found out a certain thing that you convinced to a level whether God exists or not?
You're asking me clearly whether I'm still an atheist or not.
Not exactly that, but like even a certain level, something that convinces you that there is something to be worshipped.
But if that was the case, I would be a believer right now, right? So you didn't
So that
ask
means
me
you have,
whether I'm still an atheist or not. But if you gonna ask me such a question, the answer will be yes, I'm still an atheist, and that means no, I couldn't find such an evidence in the level that can convince me that a God exists.
so okay. Since you mentioned that you're an atheist, and atheist actually means like people who don't have any belief, right?
Uh, it's about God. The person who doesn't believe in God is an atheist. Yeah,
In God, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. That's what I mean. So sorry, basically for my poor divination. So
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just needed to clarify
how can
because
you prove that
some,
God does not exist?
yeah, this question should go to the atheist who claims that there's no God. I'm an atheist who doesn't have such a claim. As I said earlier, and you remembered that, I don't know whether God exists or not, and I
I,
don't have the belief that a God exists. That doesn't mean I actively believe that there is no God. So it's not
so
my job to prove that there is no God because I don't have such a claim.
okay, if I get you
Can I have a
correctly, you mentioned that atheist is someone who does not believe in God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you saying that you do not believe, and at the same time, you cannot like uh, prove us, or you cannot provide the evidences, the proof is to support your argument whether
I don't have an
God does not exist.
argument. That's not my argument. I didn't have such a. So if I didn't claim something, why should I, bring arguments for a claim that I didn't make? So the claim God doesn't exist or there is no God doesn't belong to me. I don't have such a claim.
I have that claim.
You have which claim?
There's no God.
That's your claim? So now you can ask this question to him. What is your evidence? Like,
Uh,
why do you think there is no God? But for me, that question doesn't work.
what's your claim? The guy who said I have claim.
My
It's
claim is I don't see God. I don't experience God. I don't hear God. I don't touch God. Okay? You cannot objectively measure there is God. So there is no God objectively. Subjectively, people could have experience with the thing that called God.
yeah, but I think you're making a small
I don't
mistake
know.
there, Abdullahi, because you're saying that objectively we cannot reach a good evidence to, verify that there is a God. That doesn't mean there is no God objectively.
It means objectively
No, it
there is
doesn't
no
mean
God.
there is no objective evidence for something also that right now. We don't have any information about that. Let's call it X, okay? We don't have any evidence for it, for the existence of it, like no objective evidence at all, but that doesn't mean that thing doesn't exist. We can't claim that.
The way, one of the way we know something is by perception. Okay, what
And
I perceive objectively. First, start with subjective. What I perceive subjectively, it doesn't necessarily objective truth.
yeah,
But if all of us here, like we have four people here, we don't see God right now, we don't hear God right now, we don't touch God right now, it
yeah.
means we could conclude right now, objectively speaking, there is no God.
No, you
Okay, this
can't
is
say
objective.
that that's an objective truth. So it's objectively true that you guys cannot perceive any God at that moment, but that doesn't mean there is no God at all. Your lack of
Mm,
perception is not a good, at least to me, it's not a good evidence to decide that that thing doesn't exist.
yeah, okay. At least for the last 5 minutes, we have an objective way, okay, to conclude there is no God right now for the last 5 minutes.
And
And we could prolong these minutes to the next 1 hour
yeah, but again, you're
for the
just
next.
repeating the same mistake. You're saying that like there's no God for 5 minutes, and you're not able to prove that that's the case. You're just proving to me that you cannot perceive God at those moments, at those 5 minutes. Yeah, you couldn't perceive God, but again, that is like it sounds like this. It's a tricky analogy. Okay, I accept that. Just because you cannot observe an elephant in your room for 5 minutes, that doesn't mean there are no elephants, right? And put X into that equation. Doesn't matter what you are talking about. Just because you couldn't perceive something for a moment, that doesn't mean that thing doesn't exist.
I think I found the problem. You proving a negative, it's impossible for you. For me, it's possible.
It's possible. I think you
Proving a
choose to
negative.
believe in that, then that's the case for you. To me, it's not a proof. At least to me, it's not a good proof, let's say. Sure, that's some sort of evidence, yes. You can use lack of evidence as an evidence of the non-existence of something. You can use it. But to me, it's not a very strong evidence to claim that that thing doesn't exist.
To make it strong, then we need a continuously, uh, how do you call it?
The
Continuous
duration
perception.
is irrelevant again. Just because, well, let's suppose that there's a God who doesn't care about us. He will never show up, and you will never perceive any God. But if that's the case, doesn't matter what you cannot perceive, like through all of your life. Just because you couldn't perceive, or none of the people couldn't perceive because God didn't care, that doesn't mean God didn't exist.
There is one point. Yeah, you have a point on that.
Oh, we have lost our friend here.
We could invite Salsabil, he's a defender of religion.
Let me read this paragraph. This is just a claim. D. He thinks first a God exists, and then everything is the reflection of that God, as just based on an assumption. I can look at like things in this universe, and I can claim something similar, but it's way different than your belief. Which is, I can say, hey, look, there must be many gods out there. Why? Because I see the reflection of diversity in this universe. There are a lot of things different in this universe, and to me, it feels like this is the reflection of those gods, the reflection of the diversity. Therefore, there are many gods. Would be an illogical claim. And the same goes for your one god, or at least this. Who's the guy? Philosopher? Ibn Arabi. He can look at the things and he can infer that, yeah, there must be someone and these things are the reflection of that thing. This is just an assumption.
When you, it's to say that our existence is a manifestation, it bring another issue. So Ibn Arabi, we could think Ibn Arabi is a pantheistic. He believe in pantheistic God or panentheistic God, or could be deism, just a deism, not even a theism.
Or polytheism, as I said.
Yeah. Hello, Jay.
And we could even go further and we could make it more complicated. We could claim that, well, whatever that God is also a reflection of another being. That's the manifestation of that being, because some other being exists. Therefore, this God who created this universe is the reflection of that creation. We could make it, so we could make some regress in that. So again, it just shows that it's just an assumption, assuming that there is a cause and that cause is the reflection of what we observe right now is the assumption. Maybe there's no cause at all, therefore these things in this universe are not the reflection of anything. They just exist
Yeah, and that's,
anyway.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah, that's what it's called a, if I'm not mistaken, it's called a begging the question policy or affirming the consequence. I think maybe it's one of, I forgot which one. Begging the question or
Yeah, like
affirming.
similar to circular reasoning. First you assume that a God exists, then like things are the reflection of that God. So what is the conclusion? Like it's not even an argument, but anyway.
Especially when you use the word manifestation, it's very problematic because this is what pantheistic God is. Nature is God. So I don't know the exact word that Ibn Arabi used. I don't speak, I don't read Arabic.